Hi, it's Janique. Thank you for turning in. It's been a while, but today I am going to give a testimony on, or a story time on when I was homeless. See, I moved in Massachusetts from New York City back in August, the end of August 2014, with my little son Prince. He was 2 years old at the time, almost 2.5. And when I moved here, I was staying with his dad because I don't know anybody here. His dad told me to move here so he could help me babysit him, because I was working a lot in New York. But the babysitting issue, we had to pay a lot of money for babysitter. Me and him paying a lot of money for babysitter. So he said, you have a lot of family here, move here. So he could help me with babysitting issue. So I was staying with him when I just moved here. But one day, I think I told him to cut my son here, and he didn't. And I had a very bad attitude then. So I got mad and cursed him out. And he kicked me out. And that's how I was end up homeless. So this was a Sunday. This happened like a Sunday evening, which is crazy. I'm like, what I'm gonna do? I don't know anywhere here. But so the first night I called this homeless shelter. They said yes, they could take me, but they can't take my son because it's for people that's drug addict. But they said regular people could come too, but kids can't come because sometimes they come in with needle, all type of stuff. It's not a situation for kids to be there. So I ended up spending like 2 nights in a hotel in New Hampshire. Didn't know the place, but I was just driving around looking on the internet. Thank God for the internet. And I find a place in New Hampshire, and me and my son stayed there 2 days. And I said, I can't waste all this money on hotel. You know, the money that I save here to move to get an apartment. So I leave him by his dad family house, his grandparents, and I went to the shelter. When I went to the shelter, the name of the shelter is Daybreak Shelter in Lawrence, Massachusetts. I went to the shelter. It was a very weird experience. I've never been in a shelter. I was around a lot of drug addicts. Some of them don't have any teeth. They're young, but they don't have a lot of teeth. Some of them, they're very rich, but their family abandoned them because they're drug addicts. They had good inheritance, but their family abandoned them because when you're an addict, it will make you spend everything on drug and you become dirt poor. I noticed that. So I was there, and the people was very good to me. I was even there, and I was working. I stayed there 3 weeks. I was there for exactly 3 weeks. And then my mom was in New York, and I tell her to come up here to help me with my son, because I was traveling back and forth from that town to the next town in April, where my son family live at, his grandparents by his dad's side live at. And it weren't a long journey, about 25 minutes every day. I was traveling back and forth, make sure I'm spending time with my son, but I wanted my son to be with me. This wasn't the plan for me and my son to be separated. When I moved to Massachusetts, my son was supposed to be with me. So I didn't like the idea, because I always think nobody going to take good care of my son like how I take care of him. And I'm very fussy when it comes to my kids. I make sure I give them very good care. And I feel like when I left him there, they weren't giving him good care. So I called up my mom. She was in New York City working at the time. So you have to come up. You have to help me, because I'm here living in a shelter, and my son Prince is with his grandparents, but they're not taking good care of him. I know that for sure. Something in my spirit that he's not getting taking good care of. So you have to come up. And she come up. So I thank God for my mom. She's been a good help, a big help in my life concerning my kids, babysitting them. She come up. And then after she come up, I was staying in the shelter. And then after she come up, I look for a motel that you pay weekly. And I was paying a lot of money weekly. This time I was able to take a job that pay more. And I stayed at that motel like a month. I didn't stay long either before the Lord made a way. So I was living in the shelter. My mom come up. I went to get my mom from the Boston South Station. And then we go to Salisbury. And I was staying a weekly motel that paid like 600 or 500 something. It was very expensive, but the Lord provided because I was working. So the Lord provided. I went to get my kid, and my mom stayed with my kid while I go off to work and do what I go off to do a week or two. Sometimes I used to be gone for 2 weeks living, so that, you know, I would have the money to pay for the place where we were staying at. So it was a very hard time in my life. I'm going to give you a story that happened. One of the time, you know, when you're living in the shelter, if you've never been in the shelter before, you know, you have to get up and leave at a certain time. I think we used to leave at either 6 or 7 in the morning, and you don't really know where to go, because I don't know the area where I'm going to go. I'm not going to hang out on the street, because I'm not that type of girl. I weren't grown like that to somebody to the other race. They hang out on the street, but I drive. See, they don't drive, so, you know, I drive. So I was able to, you know, just drive around. So I used to just drive and go see my son. And one day I was driving, and I stayed some part in the same town area where they live at. And I parked down a block, and I just like, oh, I'm tired, I need to just catch a sleep. I was sleeping in front of somebody else, and I guess they called the cops on me. And it was just, I never forget that story. It was just, you know, when I remember it, I always want to cry, because I was crying the day. Say, look how I leave New York for this. I have a lot of friends I could have stayed with in New York. I leave New York just to get thrown out on the road, homeless. All these horrible stuff was just happening to me when I just moved here. And I was like, wow, I take a chance of leaving somewhere that I know everybody. I grew up in New York. From I was like 14 years old, I was there, and I left there around 24 years old. Yeah, 24 or 20, I think 26 years old. To move here, to live in Massachusetts, which I didn't know nobody except my kid's father and his family, and they speak Creole. I'm Jamaican. I don't speak Creole. I don't understand it, you know. So it was a language barrier there. So, you know, there was too much of like my friends like that because of the language barrier. Only like the son, father, he'd speak English, and the sister. So yes. So they called the cops, and the cops said, what's going on? They said, you're in front. I was sleeping. I said, well, I'm homeless. I still had the New York plates on during the time too, because he said, I see you have New York plates. You're from out of state. I said, well, I just moved here. I was staying with my kid father, and I'm homeless. And they just, you know, I was staying at the shelter, but they make you leave early. I didn't know what to do when I'm tired. So I figured I could have just parked somewhere, because I thought the road belonged to the government. I didn't know that the road belongs to the neighbor, that I can't park on the road and sleep. So he said yes. He complained, so just move. He told me to move. He was very nice, and he was, you know, very compassionate. Said, I completely understand, just move. So it was just horrible. That was just a very horrible situation for me, and stuff. Even remember it right now. Some of the stuff I went through when I was homeless and stuff, but I was still working and still trying to make a way. You know, sometimes life will throw you these stuff, but I think it was a good reason. It was good when my son father kicked me out. Again, I could have been pregnant with a next kid by him, although I was dating somebody else at the time. But you know, of course, he's staying with a man. They're gonna ask him for peace, because he was doing that, and I was like, nope, not happening, and stuff. And he had a next friend there that was a gallus, a woman in and out, because it was 2 room, and I was sleeping in the same bed like him. But we didn't do anything. We weren't doing nothing and stuff, because if I say I'm not going to do nothing, I'm not going to do nothing with you. Don't matter what you do, you're going to have to hold me down or something. So yes, he kicked me out. It weren't long after I was staying with him too before he kicked me out and stuff. So I think the Lord do that. The Lord maybe know either something that happened between me and this friend or him. I don't know. I never stayed there long enough to know. The Lord make it happen. So he kicked me out. Yes, it was very hard and lonely in Massachusetts with no friends, nobody I know. I didn't even call nobody to tell them, because when I'm going through a problem, I never call nobody to tell them. I do it all alone, very quiet. You won't hear from me until many years now. This is the first time people gonna even know this story, that I was homeless. Because, you know, I don't tell people my business like that, and I keep in stuff. I'm one that loves to keep in stuff. If I, you know, I'm going through something, I don't want to burden you with my issue or my problem. I weren't safe at the time and stuff, but, you know, I don't remember if I was praying to God. I can't remember, because it was so many years. Maybe not, because I weren't saved, but I know God was with me during those time. And one of the time I stayed at a next shelter in Averill, and I'd met this girl, and we used to hang out after I met her. I went to this shelter. I said, let me try this other shelter in Averill. Just one night I tried for. So I met this girl. She had a big suitcase, And you know, I see her leaving in the morning. She come in late at night when you know, I didn't even see her. I guess I was sleeping at the time when she come in. And she had a big suitcase. I said, where are you going to go with that big suitcase? Are you going to walk with that? She said, I'm going to walk. So I said, you could put it in my car. And we used to hang out. And although I was going through a lot during that time, I was able to bless others. I helped her, you know, with her suitcase, and I used to keep it in my car, and we used to hang out, and I used to get EBT at the time, and I buy food for her, and I used to buy food for some of the other ladies in the shelter too, you know, turkey sandwich. We used to live on turkey sandwich those days. So I was going through a horrible situation, but I was still helping others, although it was new to me. I never been through nothing like that before, and I was wondering why this had happened to me. But it was just part of my story, part of my life. Kind of like Joseph. He was wondering why my brother had to throw me in the pit, because he was going to be a president of a country one day. He was going to be a governor, rule over many people many days, next in line to Pharaoh. So that was kind of my story. Not saying I'm next in line to Joe Biden. You never know. I never know. You never know. I don't know. Let me not saying that. But yes, that was my homeless story. So me and the girl, we used to hang out and stuff. And then I left her at the shelter because I told her, my mom coming up and I'm going to stay at the hotel. I told her the hotel. But she didn't have the money to pay for it. And you could keep, you know, I would have made she stay there with us. But it was me and my mom and the little child. Although I was barely there. So, yeah. You could just 3 people was allowed, no more in one room. So I left her there, and we was still keep in contact, because she used to do my hair when I used to wear weave. She used to do my hair. She was a nice girl. She had a lot of issues because she was in the army and stuff. I still pray for her up to today, dear, that she find peace. She had a lot of issue and a lot of problem. I met a lot of people with a lot of issue and a lot of problem. I thought I had a lot of issue and a lot of problem until I met these people. But when I was at the shelter, they was very nice to me. Like this one guy, we work at the New Balance, and he bring in some shoes, but there was none that could fit me in my size. So I think I got a slippers, and he said, what size you wear? So I tell him 8, and then he said, the next time when he come back, he was going to bring one of those New Balance sneakers for me. But then I left before that happened. So there was people nice there. And you know, I really feel appreciated. I said one day I will go back to this shelter and even buy them pizza if that's all I could do and stuff. And I had forget all the years. But back in 2020, the Lord remind me, bring it back to my spirit. Remember you said you're going to go back and give back to that shelter because they was nice to you? When you said it, the heaven hear you and the demonic realm hear you. So you have to make it be fulfilled and stuff, because you declare it out of your mouth. So I did went back and give back, and I was glad to go back, and I still go back and visit. I still go back, you know. I still go back. I keep contact. I go back. I was very appreciated. They were very nice to me. I didn't have no place to go, and they treated me at home. They gave me meal to eat at night, and I used to work night shift. And when I come home, usually you have to leave at 6, but they used to allow me when I get off work at 7 to come in and sleep for a certain time. Then I had to leave because they had to clean the place. And I really appreciate it. When you're in a situation like that, you appreciate anything somebody would do for you. Any little thing that a person would do for you, you really appreciate it. I really appreciate what they have done for me. They give me towels to bathe with, rugs. I really appreciate it. I weren't there for long. I was just there for 3 weeks. Thank you, God. The Lord made a way out that my mom come up and help with my son, and I was able to do a living job and pay for the place where they stay at while I go off to work. So I thank God for my mom too, and God doing that, working the way out for me. So He was always with me, even during the lowest. And I weren't thinking about God. I was just thinking about my messed up situation. He was with me. The next thing that happened while I was staying at the motel, a black guy, because these are white neighborhood, all white, just 1 and 2 black. A black guy was right next door to me, and he had a friend that lived in the next town, Newburyport, and that's the town I end up living in. I live in right now. And the friend had a room, a big room, and he said he could rent it to me. So while I was at the motel, I'm trying to find a place, but the place was very expensive and I was very stressed out. I said, look at this. I didn't know what to do. I said, I can't move back to New York. No way. I have to stay here because I feel like, I'm already here and it's a new chapter for me in my life. I didn't want to go back to New York. No way I could have go back to New York. And the lifestyle I was living there in New York, I said, no way I could have go back there. So I was able to rent a room for him for like $500 a month. So me and my son and my mom stayed there until I was able to move into a 3-bedroom apartment. So I thank the Lord for him also. Although me and him get into altercation when I was pregnant with my son Judah and he choked me. But again, I was a little feisty one. I had lent him a TV and I was ready to move out, and I said, I want my TV. He said, no, because your kid break a lot of stuff. And I said, hey, I go in his room and I take the TV. I said, and I went up in his face, and he's like 6 foot something. And I guess, he choked me. He was choking me. I called the cop. It was a big thing. I was pregnant with my son. I would just find out that I was pregnant with my son, Jude, and stuff, because I was dating his dad. This is not my first son, father, different guy I'd met at a party while I was here, and I was dating him. And then I got pregnant very fast while dating him. Not long after I was dating him, I got pregnant with my son Judah. And he had to come in this world no matter how and stuff. So that was my homeless situation, and this is why I love homeless people. I love homeless people. I feel sympathy for them. Very sympathy. I pray for them every day that the Lord would open a way, because I get to experience being homeless, and it was not pretty. You stay in your car and then you were still getting bothered. It was like the whole world turned their back on you, like a spirit of rejection was on you. I was trying to find an apartment. I couldn't find it. It was way too expensive. The Lord had to pull ways out to make a way for me, like making the guy come right next to where my room was at in the motel, and he told me he have a friend, because I said I'm looking for a place but I can't find it. He said, I have a friend that's renting a room. I'll talk to him for you. And it so happened, and that's how the Lord provided a way for me during that time while I was homeless, to take me from out of homeless to a room. And from that room, I weren't staying with him for that long either. It was less than a year. Then the Lord moved me to a 3-bedroom place. So I thank the Lord for working it out. Working it out. So when you see homeless people on the street begging, you give to them. You don't know their situation. They could be like me. I weren't homeless. I'm moving from a different state. And I was staying with my son's father. And he threw me out on the street. We got into an argument. Although I could say the argument was my fault, his friend was telling me not to leave. Though his friend said, you could stay in my room. I said, no way, I stay with you. And too much woman sleeping out there. His friend was funny. He said, no, his friend said, you could stay in my bed and I will sleep with him. I said, in his bed. I said, no. Because he said I must stay here, so I don't want to make it uncomfortable for him and stuff. Because his friend was pleading, said, no, because you don't know anybody here. His friend was begging, kind of begging for me, when my son father showed me out. Because my son father is Asian, you don't play around. Those Asian guys don't play. It was like, I pissed him off. I got into an argument with him and he said, you have to get out. You can't stay here. And his friend was just begging for me because he feel compassion and sympathy and stuff. But I said I wasn't going to stay there. I went out on the street. Didn't know what I was doing. Stay from hotel. Me and my son was in a hotel for 2 days. And I said, no, can't do this. Can't do this. Because I think I even spent more than 2 days in the hotel. Then I went to the shelter. I noticed that the money that I bring here was just wasting on hotel. And I said, I can't believe he do this to me. I'm his kid father. I'm his kid mother. Why would he throw me out on the street? And he know that I have the little boy and stuff. Because, if he throw me out, I'm going to take my kid. No way I was going to leave my kid behind. So, yeah, I said, this is a big curse he put on himself. Because me and the kid is thrown out on the street. So, you see, we must not put our trust in man. Man will fail us. It's a big situation. Man will fail us. They don't care if you're their kid mother or not. They will throw you out on the street. Today, I look at it as a blessing. I think the Lord stopped me from a lot of stuff during that time. I'm thinking back that I don't know what would have happened. No way I could have a next kid by him. No way, it wouldn't make sense, you know, because I come to realize the powers that I was against from that background, dealing with my son, and that's my son that have autism, but my 2 other sons don't have autism. So imagine having a next kid with him, possibly the kid would have autism, you know, possible. That's because from the power, the witchcraft from his background, I come to realize that, you know, when I get saved, I come to realize, yeah, I did make some very silly mistake while I was out in sin, and I have to pay for it today there, because I was ignorant to the device of the enemy, and he just laugh at me and take advantage. So I just thank God for taking me out the homeless situation, and if God do it for me, He will do it for you. When I see homeless people, I encourage them to get clean, because a lot of people here, they're on drugs. It's a state, the strong man is drug addict. Even where I live at, there's a lady I constantly have to pray for 2 hours from where I live at. She always flat out going to the hospital. The last time I thought she was literally dead. She looked dead. But the Lord had mercy for her. I was coming in from work the morning, and I planned to stop and go somewhere else, but my spirit told me go straight out. And I come in, I see her going in the ambulance. I try to say, Lord have mercy. She have 2 kids. She have a kid. She have a teenager daughter, and she have a little son, almost the same age like one of my son. So I said, God have mercy. It's a stronghold on her life, you know. It's a stronghold, and this demon, yes, it's going to eventually take her off if she don't give her life to God. And the Lord did have mercy. I didn't see her for a long time. I was just praying for her constantly every day until I see that she finally come home. And when she come home, she kept to herself. I guess she was very embarrassed, you know. Even now, she's still keeping to herself. She's not coming outside a lot. You hardly see her. When she's coming out late at night or early in the morning when you're barely seeing her. She should be egging out outside, talking to people, not no more and stuff. So I guess that situation kind of wake her up, and I pray that she would change her mind. A lot of people here, I met a lot of drug addicts while I was in the place and had compassion for them. At the time, I didn't know how to pray for them. I just was feeling pity for them. Wish they would turn from the drugs. And I asked them, why can't you turn from it? And they said it's not that easy. And they used to show me the mark on where they do the drugs at. And even some of them, this black girl I met, she said she used to do crack. She don't have any teeth. And one of the girls said to me one day, you know, I see her, she was acting a little funny. I said, you okay? Why are you acting like that? Somebody said she took some crack today. I said, but she told me she weren't going to take it. And, you know, they said, no, this is what drug is. They would tell you, but they would still do it. And they would lie to you. So, yeah, I was very naive. I had to get thrown into a situation like that to deal with a situation like what I'm dealing with today. I think it was part of my, I guess, destiny and calling. That's why I had to grow through it myself. So the other day, it was snowing. 2 nights ago, I slept in my car. I said, wow. I get to experience how it is to sleep in the cold. But God was with me, so He kept me warm. I weren't too cold. Yes, I got cold. I was in my car like from 12 till 7 in the morning, 12 a.m. at night. I got cold around 3 something. I said, oh, it's frigid cold because I had to crack the window a little. I ain't trying to suffocate with carbon monoxide. I get to experience that, and I have a quick short video of that underneath my channel. You could look at it. Excuse me, sleeping in my car for 1 night because the Lord told me to sleep in my car because this bad winter storm was coming, and you know, I had to go to work early in the morning, and it was very horrible during that time. When I come out my car and I look, I said, this is a lot of snow. This is a lot of snow. From 4 it started until 7 it was a lot of snow, and it was slippery. No way I could have drive under condition. No way. Even last night I was driving home, and I had to go slow. It took me a whole hour. So it would have taken me like 3 hours to get to work, because I work about 35 minutes on a regular day from where I live at. And I have to take the highway. And the highway was not clear during those times. And it's icy, you have to go slow, because I wouldn't go fast. I would go slow because I know better that you go slow, because you could end up falling off in a ditch if you go too fast on the highway. So that's my story of being homeless, and God bring me through. And now I try to help homeless people. That's what I try to do, because I went through it. And I get to even sleep in the cold the other day to know how they feel when they're sleeping in the cold. And I didn't find it was a bad experience for me. I said, maybe when I go on a fast to get away from everybody, I go in my car and sleep to have some alone time with God. Because when you have kids, you know, they're always in your space. So I'm like, I was laughing, and you know, it was a humbling experience for me. I weren't scared because I know God was with me. And I even joke with God and say, maybe I will do this again. When I go on a fast, I just come lock myself in my car and sleep to get away from everybody. Because you need to be in a secluded place when you're fasting, away from everybody. Either you go up to the hill, to the mountains. And I was just joking, saying, maybe I would do this again. It was a humbling experience for me. And I see what they go through in the cold. It's not easy. We have to pray for these people. And if we can, we give them shelter to stay, pay for a hotel. I would tell you to put them at your house because, you know, some of them are pretty aggressive. Pay for a hotel for them to stay at. Help them with a meal when you see them. Don't worry if they're going to use it for drug or not. You just release the money. And you just pray God for them to use it wisely, you know. Even pray for the money before you give them so they're not going to use it for drug. I declare that when they get this money, they will use it for good. And it won't go to their hand like that, because sometimes when you get money, when you're in a poverty situation, it just go to your hand. The devil come and steal it like that. You get it, and as you get it, you spend it. Quick as you get it, you spend it as soon as you get it. So I thank you so much for listening to my situation, my homeless journey, and I will link the video of the place that I used to stay at. It was a trailer, and I even praying for God to make a way for it to be bigger, because I went to visit them. I went to even visit them today, and I was saying to the guy, you guys need a bigger place. He was saying a lot of people call and they don't have any place to put them. They have to tell them no, they don't have any bed because the bed is all full. I said, you guys need a bigger place. So I'm praying for the Lord to make a way for a bigger place, so somebody would donate so they could get a bigger place to put these people, because it's a good place. They help drug addicts, and I love that. It's a wet shelter. And I think they're maybe the only one, they say, in Massachusetts that really help drug addict and care for drug addict. So I pray that you get something from this and keep on holding on to God. God could take you out of any situation. Sometimes we have to go through that. And this made me the woman I am today. I had to go through that to, you know, get off my high horse, to go through homelessness, to get where I am today. And I'm still on my journey. I'm not even where I need to be. So yes, keep on watching, and you will see where I will get in the future. In Jesus' name, God bless you.
This is the shelter I stayed back in 2014 in September, when I just moved to this state, and my first son, father, we got into an argument and he kicked me out. I was homeless and I did not know where to stay. And I just looked it up online, and they said, we mostly have drug addict, but you could come. And I said, okay, and I come and I stay there, and I still go there every now and then, you know. I still go back there just to visit the people and stuff. So this is where I used to stay when I was homeless. Yes, I thank God for allowing them to make me stay there.